Hello guys, welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, I'm gonna show you how to retake B-side on train as a CT in CS2. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. By the way, we are doing free giveaways every month. In these giveaways, you can win various CS2 skins and free CS2 course access passes created by a Faceit level 10 coach who has experience in high tier CS2 teams. To sign up, simply visit the CS2 polls giveaway page and follow the instructions. Link is in the description. And without further ado, let's get straight into it. So when it comes to retaking B-side on train, there are several key factors that you need to know in the start. So in the start, mainly what happens when you do get in a post plan scenario as a T, you most likely eliminate the single player who's going to be playing in towards B-side, because nowadays the stack towards train is going to be one playing in B-side and 4 of them playing in between the A side, IV, camera, and etc. So this is a really difficult situation for the CTs because they really need to retake the site, and it's a very single site. However, it is way easier than retaking A site on train, for example, simply because there's not a lot of spots that the T's can hide in this position currently. For example, they can only hide behind this blue train, they can hide behind default even though it's very open. They have to be crouched if they want to fully hide themselves, and most likely if they're going to be playing on the ground here, they're also going to be playing behind red, for example, trying to play a bit more aggressive, catching you off guard, for example. So these are going to be the main spots they're going to focus on towards in this position. You can also expect someone to be standing in this corner trying to wait out for you to entry into this position, so you also need to keep an eye out for that, of course. But this is a very useless position in my opinion, because if this guy just stays here and camps for the rest of the round, he will just lose his entire teammates and he's gonna leave them in a 4v4 scenario, for example, if all of them survive and just have a retake. So you automatically just let your teammates fight without helping them out at all, and you're pretty much not going to be holding any other useful positions. So this is one of the worst spots that you can stand as a team, in my opinion, unless you're in a 1v1 scenario or you're a single player, for example, because then you aren't baiting any of your teammates, so maybe then it is a bit useful, but then you're very open to this position, and the entire side, etc. So that's why, in my opinion, this spot isn't really common for the T's, but you do have to keep an eye out for this position as well sometimes. So now let's talk about the other positions that the T's love to play in. They mainly love to play in towards heaven, and after the post plan they love to just peek out, throw some utility, for example, banking it off this arc, for example, or something like that. Maybe like throw a specific lineup that mollies the entire area where the bomb is planted. So they love to do these types of things. But if you cover this area with a smoke, for example, then it's fully cut off, and then the T can't even look at any specific lineup that he can throw to molly off this area. So you're pretty much in a win-win scenario. So I'm going to discuss about how you can counter this position, and before I do, I also have to mention that stairs is also a common position for the T's that they love to play in. They love to just instantly drop down later on when the bomb is planted, but this is also a very weak position for them because they're not even looking at the entire site, and when they peek out, they're open to this area of stairs, they're open to the entire default on site, and if anyone is flagging, for example, they're also open to the behind of them. So this is going to be all from the position side. So now let's talk about how you can counter these two crucial positions. Simply, one of your teammates can be standing in this corner like so, and then as he stands here, he needs an extra smoke for his teammates if he wants to smoke stairs and heaven at the same time. Firstly, he's going to look directly in this dark brown shaped dot in this area where this large gallon is, and he's just gonna jump throw that, and this is gonna be a simple smoke that perfectly lands in towards heaven, smoking it entirely, and it doesn't bloom out of the arc too much, so the T's instantly, as they run out, you can instantly spot them, so the smoke isn't blooming out of the arc entirely. So this is gonna be one of the better smokes that you can do. And another smoke is just gonna be a simple stair smoke. As you stand here, you don't even have to jump throw, aim in the bottom right corner of the star on the wall, left click throw as well, and it will just perfectly land in towards the arc. And this smoke will slightly bloom out a bit more, but it's also just a very simple smoke that you can definitely throw, and if the T's entry out, they're still going to be open to several positions, for example here, and default as well, and even heaven for sometimes. So this is going to be one of the easier smokes that you're going to throw in this retake scenario, because you don't really need any complicated smokes, especially if none of your teammates are going to be flanking. Now let's talk about a single Molotov that you can do. For example, if you want to quickly molly off anyone who's going to be playing in towards the area of blue train, as I mentioned, you're going to be standing in this corner, or you can just move slightly more back, aim in this star's corner, in the bottom left one, not the bottom right one as I showed for the smoke, and you're just going to run run forward until you hit the barrel and just left click throw. You throw a simple Molotov that lands in behind this area where train is, and just gonna be a very simple Molotov cutting out anyone who's gonna be hiding here, and they automatically have to rather move towards default or be very open towards this area where stairs is. So it's just a very simple lineup and it's very easy. Now let's talk about a nade that you can also do. For example, if you want to nade default, you're gonna move back where this corner is of this part of the arc, and then you're gonna look directly in the bottom corner of this area like so, and as you run forward, before you hit any barrels, you're just gonna jump throw. So it's gonna look something like this, and this nade will perfectly land in towards the back, and as you see, it will deal a significant amount of damage because it's just very effective. And with this nade, you definitely have a huge chance of dealing significant amount of damage to enemies. So with both of these smokes and all of this utility from the Molotov and the nade, of course, you will have a really simple and clean execute. And in my opinion, despite all of this utility, you don't really need anything else, but you do need to watch out for anyone. For example, once you are in the start of the retake scenario and you're going to be rotating, you do need to have one of your teammates to throw the smoke behind this wooden wall, just bouncing it off like so. It doesn't really matter how specific it is. The main priority of the smoke is to block off anyone who might be holding you from this area in heaven, for example, with the op, or anyone who's going to be holding you from stairs or blue train. So you can just safely entry out towards this area and then position yourself, for example, for this perfect position as I showed for the lineups, or in general you can just split up and fight the long range duels as well. And keep in mind, before you peek out this area, I'd suggest that your teammate firstly throws the smoke as I showed, because only then for you it's way safer to peek out, because then you're not going to be exposed to anyone who's going to be standing in heaven, for example. So now I'm going to discuss about what positioning you should have with your teammates. So ideally you should have one player who's going to be, for example, the Ivy player. He's going to rotate throughout this area, and he's going to be the one who's going to go towards the very back corner of the CT side, and he's going to run here, and his main priority is going to be to not focus on any of these positions, but he's going to focus towards this area where red train is, because this is a common corner, as I said, that T's love to camp in, so he does have to clear this position, and then only can he focus towards the other angles as well. He can also just throw a simple Molotov to the back of the train to prevent anyone camping behind this train as well, because this is also a pretty common position for the T's. So you can also throw a Molotov here manually by the same player who's going to be standing in the barrels if he just looks directly in this corner and quickly jump throws, and it will land perfectly, mollying anyone who's going to be standing behind there, and they will have to automatically rather run back and be open towards this area where lane is, or instead they will just be standing behind this red train position. So in my opinion, it's only good to throw this Molotov if you're going to be standing in towards this area and you have a teammate that is going to be holding this area. If you don't, then in my opinion it's really useless, because after you throw the Molotov, you're going to have to run towards this area, be open to this angle, heaven as well if it's not smoked, and then you're going to be only then peeking this area, so you're going to be really open whilst you get to this position. So in my opinion, unless you have this player, don't throw this Molotov, because it's just not really necessary, and a better way of clearing this position is just going later on in the round, focusing towards default, and only once you clear it and the entire site, then only will you just simply run towards this corner, clear it quickly, and then you will have the easier side take. If you're the camera player, for example, you will also be rotating through CT, not connector, and you're going to be running towards this area. From this area, it's the best for this player to rotate, simply because he's going to be closest to these barrels, and he's going to be probably the one most likely who's going to be throwing all of these lineups. And with these lineups, you can just simply entry to the site. And if your teammate has the smoke for heaven, for example, or he wants to smoke stairs firstly, but I suggest if your teammate didn't go out connector and didn't throw the smoke as I showed against this wooden plank, you can just instantly throw a heaven smoke instead, and then you can just jump up on top of the barrels, for example, and quickly hold this position for your teammates while they exit out towards this area from connector. So you can also do that. So this is why the camera player is best for this position. Now both of the side players can rather rotate towards this area. One of them, at least one of them, needs to rotate through connector, and he needs to focus towards the angles as I showed and throw the smoke as I showed. And one of the players can rather decide whether he wants to go together towards connector with his teammate, or he wants to flank. In my opinion, flanking isn't really necessary on this side, because most likely a lot of T's take really good positions. They can hide in a lot of spots, they can camp and just catch you off guard. So it's very risky because you're really cut off from your teammates. So in my opinion, unless you're really shifting and playing it really passively and your teammates really do a lot of impact towards the site, only then can you really shift, but you never know what will happen. So in my opinion, it's way safer for this player to also head towards connector with his teammates, because later on in the round, as I mentioned previously, you will still smoke this position and this position, so you won't have a really huge chance of defending this area and gathering up with your teammates together. So once you flank here, you're just gonna be smoked off instead, and it's not really necessary in my opinion. That's why it's not really necessary to flank in general from this side in a retake scenario. Thank you everyone for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed. This was how to retake B-side on train as a CT in CS2. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and comment down in the comments below on what you want us to do next, and I'll see you in the next video.